welcome to our daily Bible meditation. This reading is from March 8th, 2023, and we're reading 1 Samuel 25, 26, 27, and 28.
And we're reading from the New King James Version. Samuel 25, death of Samuel. Then Samuel died, and the Israelites gathered together and lamented over him and buried him at his home in Ramah. And David rose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. David and the wife of Nabal. Now there was a man in Maon whose business was in Carmel, and the man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep, 1,000 goats, and he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. The name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail, and she was a woman of good understanding and beautiful appearance. But the man was harsh and evil in his doings. He was of the house of Caleb. And when David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep, David sent 10 young men, and David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus you shall say to him who lives in prosperity, peace be to you, peace to your house, and peace to all you have. Now I have heard that you have shearers. Your shepherds were with us, and we did not hurt them, nor was there anything missing from them all the while they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes, for we come on on a feast day. Please give whatever comes to your hand, to your servants, and to your son David." So when David's young men came, they spoke to Nabal according to the words in the name of David, and waited. Then Nabal answered David's servants and said, "Who is David? Who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants nowadays who break away each from his master. Shall I take my bread and my water and my meat that I have killed from my shearers and give it to men who I do not know where they are from?" So David's young men turned on their heels and went back, and they came and told him all the words. Then David said to his men, "Every man gird on his sword." So every man girded on his sword, and David also girded on his sword. And about 400 men went with David, 200 stayed with the supplies. Now one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, "Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, and he reviled them. But the men were very good to us, and we were not hurt, nor did we miss anything, as long as we accompanied them when they were in the fields. They were a wall to us both day and night, all the time we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore no one consider what you will do, for harm is determined against our master and against his household, for he is such a scoundrel that one cannot speak to him." Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already dressed, 5 sheas of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. And she said to her servants, "Go on before me, see that I'm coming at you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. So it was as she rode on the donkey that she went down under the cover of the hill, and there were David and his men coming down towards her, and she met them. Now David said, "Surely in vain I have protected all this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that belongs to him. And he has repaid me evil for good. May God do so and more also to the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belongs to him by morning light." Now when Abigail saw David, she dismounted quickly from the donkey, fell on her face before David, and bowed to the ground. So she fell at his feet, and she said, "O me, my Lord, on me, my Lord, on me. Let this iniquity be, and please let your maidservant speak in your ears and hear the words of your maidservant. For let not my Lord regard this scoundrel Nabal, for as his name is, so is he." Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I am your maidservant, and did not see the young men of my Lord, whom you sent. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord lives, and as your soul lives, since the Lord has held you back from coming to bloodshed, and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now then let your enemies and those who seek you harm from my Lord be as Nabal. And now this present which your maidservant has brought to my Lord, let it be given to the young men who follow my Lord. Please forgive the trespass of my maidservant, of your maidservant, for the Lord will certainly make for my Lord an enduring house, because my Lord fights the battle of the Lord, and evil is not found in you throughout your days. Yet a man has risen to pursue you and seek your life, but the life of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of living with the Lord your God, and the lives of your enemy. He shall sing out as from the pocket of a sling, and it shall come to pass, when the Lord has done my Lord accordingly to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you ruler over Israel, that this will be no grief to you, nor offense to the heart to my Lord, either that you have shed blood without cause, or that my Lord has avenged himself. But when the Lord has dwelt well with my Lord, then remember your maidservant." Then David said to Abigail, "Blessed is the Lord God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessed is this advice, and blessed are you, because you have kept me this day from coming to bloodshed and avenging myself with my own hand. For indeed, as the Lord God of Israel lives, who has kept me back from hurting you, unless you have hurried and come to meet me, surely by morning light no males would have been left to Nabal." So David received from her hand what she had brought him, and said to her, "Go up in peace to your house. See that I've heeded your voice and respected your person." Now Abigail went to Nabal, and there he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry with him, for he was very drunk. Therefore she told him nothing, little or much, until morning light. So it was in the morning, when the wine had gone from Nabal, and his wife told him these things, that his heart died within him, and he became like a stone. Then it happened after 10 days that the Lord struck Nabal, and he died. So when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be the Lord, who has pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servants from evil, for the Lord has returned the wickedness of Nabal on his own head." And David sent and proposed to Abigail to take her as his wife. When the servants of David come to Abigail Carmel, they spoke to her, saying, "David sent us to ask you to become his wife." Then she arose, bowed her face to the earth, and said, "Here is your maidservant, a servant to wash the feet of the servant of my Lord." So Abigail rose in haste, rode on a donkey, attended by 5 of her maidens. She followed the messengers of David and became his wife. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and both of them were his wives. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Palti, the son of Lachish, who was from Gelam.
Chapter 26. David spares Saul a second time. Now the Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is David not hiding in the hills of Hakilah, opposite Jeshimon. Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul encamped in the hill of Hakilah, which is opposite of Jeshimon by the road. But David stayed in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies, and understood that Saul had indeed come. So David arose, came to the place where Saul had encamped, and David saw the place where Saul lay, and Abner the son of Ner, the commander of his army. Now Saul lay within the camp, with the people encamped all around him. Then David answered and asked, and said to Ahimelech the Hittite, and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, saying, Who will go down with me to Saul in the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with you. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and there Saul lay sleeping within the camp, with his spear stuck in the ground by his head, and Abner and the people lay all around him. Then Abishai said to David, God has delivered your enemy into your hand this day. Now therefore, please let me strike him at once with the spear, right to the earth, and I will not have to strike him a second time. But David said to Abishai, Do not destroy him, for who can stretch out his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless? David said furthermore, As the Lord lives, the Lord shall strike him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall go out to battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I should stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed. But please take now the spear and the jug of water that are by his head, and let us go. So David took the spear and the jug of water by Saul's head, and they got away. And no man saw or knew it or awoke, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen on them. Now David went over to the other side, and stood on the top of the hill, afar off, a great distance being between them. And David called out to the people, and to Abner and the son of Ner, saying, Do you not answer, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, Who are you calling out to the king? So David said to Abner, Are you not a man? And who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not guarded your lord the king? For one of the people came in to destroy your lord the king. This thing that you have done is not good. As the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not guarded your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the jug of water that was by his head. Then Saul knew David's voice and said, Is that your voice, my son David? David said, It is my voice, my lord, O king. And he said, Why does my lord thus pursue his servant? For what have I done, or what evil is in my hand? Now therefore, please let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord has stirred you up against me, let him accept an offering. But if it is the children of men, may they be cursed before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day from sharing in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go serve other gods. So now do not let my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord. For the king of Israel has come out to seek a flea, as when one hunts a partridge in the mountains. Then Saul said, I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will harm you no more, because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Indeed, I have played the fool and erred exceedingly. And David answered and said, Here is the king's spear. Let one of the young men come over and get it. May the Lord repay every man for his righteousness and his faithfulness, for the Lord delivered you into my hand today, but I would not stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed. And indeed, As your life was valued much this day in my eyes, so let my life be valued much in the eyes of the Lord, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation. Then Saul said to David, May you be blessed, my son David. You shall both do great things, and also will prevail. So David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place.
Samuel 27. David allied with the Philistines. And David said in his heart, Now I shall perish some day by the hand of Saul. There's nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape to the land of the Philistines. And Saul will despair of me to seek me any more in any part of Israel. So I shall escape out of his hand. Then David arose and went over 600 men who were with him to Achish, the son of Maoch, the king of Agarth. So David dwelt in Ashish with Gar, he and his men, each man with his household, and David, his two wives, Ahinoam the Jezreelite, and Abigail the Carmelite, Nabal's widow. And it was told Saul that David had fled to Garth, so he sought him no more. Then David said to Ashish, If I have now found favor in your eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should your servant dwell in the royal city with you? So Ashish gave Ziklag that day. Therefore Ziklag has belonged to the kings of Judah to this day. Now the time that David dwelled in the country of the Philistines was 1 full year and 4 months. And David and his men went up and raided the Jezreelites and the Girzites and the Amalekites, for those nations were the inhabitants of the land of old. And as you go to Shur, even as far as the land of Egypt, whenever David attacked the land, he left neither men or women alive, but took the sheep, the oxen, the donkeys, the camels, the apparel, and returned and came to Ashish. Then Ashish would say, Where have you made a raid today? And David would say, Against the southern area of Judah, and against the southern area of Jebuelites, and against the southern area of Kenites. And David would save neither man nor woman alive to bring news to Gath, saying, Lest they should inform on us, saying, Thus David did, and thus was his behavior all the time he dwelled in the country of the Philistines. So Ashish believed David, saying, He has made his people Israel utterly abhor him, therefore he shall be my servant forever. Samuel
28. Now it happened in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for war, to fight with Israel. And Achish said to David, You assuredly know that you will go out with me to battle, you and your men. So David said to Achish, Surely you know that your servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore I will make you one of my chief guardians forever. Bless you. Saul consults a medium. Now Samuel had died, and all Israel had lamented for him, and buried him in Ramah, in his own city. And Saul had put the mediums and the spiritists out of the land. Then the Philistines gathered together and came and encamped in Shunem. So Saul gathered all Israel together, and they encamped at Gilboa. Then, when Saul saw the army of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart trembled greatly. And when Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, either by dreams, or by Urim, or by the prophets. Then Saul said to his servants, Find me a woman who is a medium, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, In fact, there is a woman who is a medium at En Dor. So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes, and he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, Please conduct a seance for me, and bring up for me the one I shall name to you. Then the woman said to him, Look, you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Why then do you lay a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you for this thing. Then the woman said, Whom shall I bring up for you? And he said, Bring up Samuel for me. When the woman saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, Why have you deceived me? For you are Saul. And the king said to her, Do not be afraid. What did you see? And the woman said to Saul, I saw a spirit ascending out of the earth. So he said to her, What is his form? And she said, An old man is coming up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed down. Now Samuel said to Saul, Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? And Saul answered, I am deeply distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God has departed from me, and does not answer me any more, neither my prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called you, that you may reveal to me what I should do. Then Samuel said, So why do you ask me, seeing the Lord has departed from you, and has become your enemy? And the Lord has done for himself as he spoke by me. For the Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hand and given it to your neighbor David, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord, nor execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore the Lord has done this thing to you this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with you into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also deliver the army of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Immediately Saul fell full length on the ground, and was dreadfully afraid because of the words of Samuel, and there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no food all day nor all night. And the woman came to Saul and saw that he was severely troubled, and said to him, Look, your maidservant has obeyed your voice, and I have put my life in my hands, and heeded the words which you spoke to me. Now therefore, please, heed also the voice of your maidservant, and let me set a piece of bread before you, and eat that you may have strength when you go on your way. But he refused and said, I will not eat. So his servants, together with the woman, urged him, and he heeded their voice. Then he arose from the ground and sat on the bed. Now the woman had a fatted calf in the house, and she hastened to kill it. And she took flour and kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread from it. So she brought it before Saul and his servants, and they ate. Then they rose and went away that night. Interesting that he would get a medium
Yeah.
and speak to Saul, to Samuel, who's dead. Wow. Well, we only got 3 more chapters to go, and we're done with First Samuel.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a short reading today. What do you think?
Yes, it was.
Interesting, though. So you have any words?
Well, listen to God. And when he tells you to do something, obey him.
Obedience is important.
Be obedient.
That's right.
Wonder what Samuel 2 is going to be all about.
Yep, we'll find out.
Well, anything you want to add, Sway?
No, not tonight. Guess I'm tired.
Me too. So just go ahead.
We're going to close out, but we'll be back tomorrow. So have a good night or a good day whenever you see this.
God loves you. We love you. Read the Bible.
Amen.